We are live and streaming on both segments. So, welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. It is a lovely Tuesday morning, and we are here mainly to provide support and answer any questions about our products and services. If you'd like to ask any of those, feel free to jump over to our IRC chat at foolishtechshow.com, foolisht.com/live. There's a few different options of joining the IRC chat there, and we'll be happy to have you there. It looks like we got Undertaker and Rover already chatting it up in there, and yeah, if we don't have any of those product issues or questions or support demos, and we'll probably just spend the time talking about random stuff. So feel free to join to direct our conversation as well. So how's everybody doing? Go ahead, Michael. You're about to burst.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm doing pretty well, but I did have a ticket yesterday where a user was asking,
all morning.
where a user was asking about IRC chat and what was necessary to be involved in that, and they had watched the show but weren't able to or didn't understand the IRC concept. It's very straightforward. On our site there's and it may not be absolutely noticeable to you, but there is a link on our site that you can press at foolisht.com/live.
I thought it was extremely noticeable, but Nick proved me wrong on that point as well. So I'll share my screen here so we can just.
Oh, excellent! Yeah, that would be, yeah. Let's demo this because that's been asked on at least 2 occasions that I recall, and I was shocked to hear it.
So when you go to foolishtechshow.com, I think it should be streaming on the show. Let's just wait until it shows on the show.
Oh.
All right, yeah, so we see it there. So when you go to foolishtechshow.com or foolisht.com/live, it'll take you to the actual address here, so just ignore that. You do want to make sure that it has our little security thing there, because that's awesome. But otherwise, you'll see our schedule right here, and this is what caught me off guard, is because I have this big join our IRC chat in a new window. Nick completely missed that one and only saw the open a new window down here. So I guess it is possible that it's hard to see, but this join our chat, click here to expand. That's where you want to click. You can set your username, or if you prefer to stay anonymous, you can leave it as that, and then just hit start.
What? When did I
pull it here?
When
I set this whole page up, you were like, "This thing doesn't open in a new window," or something like that, and I think you actually went back and added this one.
Well, at any rate, I actually prefer it. Usually when I suggest this, I suggest opening another window so that people can more easily type in.
Page's been changed.
But I maybe it's best to have it on the same page.
Well, I mean, you can do it on the same page as I'm showing here, because you can have it there and that.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
And Glenn agrees he couldn't see it either. So, but opening a new page, basically the same thing. So you can have it in 2 different windows, or if you have multiple monitors, you can do that as well.
Thanks for that.
So lots of flexibility there, and if anybody is watching, please, we love the participation, and you only really get a kind of a one-sided when you're just watching the videos there. And I know you've all had moments where you've watched a video and screamed or otherwise said something aloud, and there's really not been anyone that you're talking to. It's just the video. For all those situations, please click those links. Please open it in either the same page or a new tab or a new window, and chat with us.
You also have the option, if you have your own IRC client already, like we use Hex Chat here for the office. There's many other versions. I believe Cherie uses a Chrome extension, which we had mentioned in a previous show before, but you can use any IRC client and connect with these settings as well. And Rover actually got us to add this link, so if you have In Windows, it's not going to launch your IRC client. You have to add a IRC launcher thing in the registry so that it would launch it correctly. But is it Linux will automatically launch like that, Rover? I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah, that's how you can join our chat in several ways.
Yay. Thank you for sharing that with us, Brantley, the screen and all. I think a picture is worth 1,000 words in this case.
Sure. And Jay Chamberlain asked if there's a good way to remove a SysKey.
Do you mean what's he talking about? What's he talking about?
Yes, but I have to refresh my memory.
Yeah, when you say a SysKey, what specifically are you meaning?
I think SysKey is the thing that locks down your registry hives with a password.
Yeah,
so you
exactly.
Can't
SysKey scam. That's probably the one because he'd asked about tech support scammers changing a password for something.
It's blockable and crypto prevents protection. By the way. It should be a default. It should be an option. I think with the default or better.
So I'm just looking this up. I'll get you here soon.
It looks like right off the bat, System Rescue CD, pretty good bootable CD drive, has a utility CHNTPW. And that will possibly
registry system restore backup that you could potentially deal with the situation. But the third-party tool seems to be the only option other than reloading. It looks like at this point, given that Microsoft really doesn't support those SysKey things anymore. What I mean, are we talking about XP here? I'm guessing. Just confirm that.
Yeah, I'm actually looking more into that article, and that person actually set their own SysKey on their registry with that utility and then couldn't get it back. And looks like they had to go to a registry backup. But then they also have some tips and tricks there. They didn't try any of these. Let's see what this.
Okay, so yeah, it's very specific to the operating system. It looks like so make sure any tool that you get that's supposed to do this supports the operating system that you're intending to do this on, whether it be XP or 7 or 8. It seems like there's some differences that may make those tools not work if they weren't specifically taking those things into consideration. So.
Yep, and you're correct. The D72 locksmith video that I told Johnny to point you to yesterday, that wouldn't work because Windows isn't able to boot up to the login screen. So
yeah,
not to it. But yeah, it looks like a registry backup is going to be your best options there.
It's interesting. I haven't dealt with this issue. I don't think I've ever dealt with this issue.
Yeah, and that is a crypto prevent default in version 7 and in version 8. SysKey.exe is blocked from everywhere. So
should that be advertised in the interface and controllable as an option? It might be something you wanted to.
It is advertised.
It is. Hello.
Controllable option.
Where have you been?
Yeah, it's right there beside VSS.
Oh,
Have you ever used
wait,
Crypto?
let me open it up. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Scares me since you work with him on that version 8.
I didn't. It's just never. It's like one of those things your eyes just kind of glance over. Never had a question about SysKey before.
Michael is scary sometimes. Speaking of which, Johnny and I watched The Conjuring 2 last
I
night,
hate you.
Oh,
and it is a fairly good
oh, it's good.
sequel to it.
Oh wow.
It's a little bit more extravagant than the other ones, but still kept the same. Like I love how well they do filmography or whatever. Like the way they set up scenes and
Cinematography.
how they have it set, so like the visuals in it are just amazing for that point of view. But some of the the demons and ghosts in there, it was like they borderlined the stepping too far into CG and making it cheesy. Like it was very, very borderline with those, but the whole overall story was really good and really well done. But afterwards, I come back in here and am working in the office, and Johnny's in her office, and I get the idea. Oh yeah, we got two-way mic cameras there. So I fire up the one that's in Johnny's room and turn on the mic and do like a creepy Johnny. And she turns around and looks freaked out at the Godzilla and then looks around. And then I run in there and just start busting up laughing.
What's Godzilla? What?
It's
It's
our
a-
security camera that's in our living.
Oh,
Well,
My office and his office.
it's it's a security camera, but it's also what I was mentioning with Rover Desk. That's not our primary security camera. It's kind of just a backup fun one to talk to the dog with when we're not here. She always thinks we're right outside.
that is. Oh.
It's actually torturing her because she doesn't know where it's coming from, so she thinks we're right outside the door.
Oh,
So she's
no.
waiting right out the door.
Okay. At first, I thought
But-
that it was a good idea, but no. Don't.
But it's a wireless camera, so I was actually talking with Roverdesk earlier. He said he got his wireless IP camera set up, and I was saying yesterday we did a show on why wireless IP cameras are not good for security, but like I said, they have uses. Like I said, we can watch the dog easily and talk to her and things like that.
But you do know the all those movies. We watch movies, or I watch movies a lot, and inevitably, when somebody's trying to break into a a high security installation or facility, they'll typically pull out a spray paint can or otherwise disable the security cameras wherever they're going. I'm sure you've seen that in any countless numbers of movies.
Yeah, but that would mean they have recon on where my cameras are.
Yeah. I know. What I'm getting at, though, is at this day and age, really, that depicting that in a movie is now nowhere near accurate. It's somebody could literally just like reach into their pocket and push a button and disable cameras if they were wireless.
Yeah,
if they were wireless, of course, but.
But I mean, and at the same time, most home burglars are not under the task of breaking into a high security facility. They're just see an open door and walk.
The way you said that word facility, that means easy. Facile. So that's actually a great little pun there. But anyway.
But yeah, wired. If you have a wired version, those are the ones you want to go for your security.
But you can still cut the wires. I mean, it's not exact. The idea of disabling a camera. I mean, as long as it's noticeable and accessible, and physically reachable.
At the same time, though, you can get super small cameras that aren't noticeable.
Well, that's increasingly true.
I mean, like nanny cams. You can get a wired version of those.
Nanny cams, yeah, for the babysitters and whatnot.
Yeah, and they're hidden. So those are a lot more better, but if it's a wireless version, same issue with the DDoS attacks.
So that's the whole concept of I'll put the key in the rock, and which rock is it among the 1,000 that are down there, or whatever the case is, right? You throw it in a random toy, or you throw it in a random book, or I don't know, wherever you would hide it, and the person would literally have to go over the house with a fine-tooth comb to effectively locate the device.
Oh, Rover says he's not able to hear or see the stream.
Oh,
It looks like it's good on both mine.
Is Rover in the U.S.?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, CyberCrypt brings up a good point. Yeah, it depends on the the frequency, but a Tetra can do both 2.4 and 5 gigs.
Yeah, and a lot of your wireless jammers, because they do make devices specifically for that. I think they run in the $200 to $300 range. I was looking at them before. I know Nick's done some research into them as well, but those are highly illegal in the U.S. So just be careful if you're carrying one of those around. But if you're a criminal, obviously you're aware of that probably, and usually those do come with both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz ones that I've seen. Obviously you can get
I would argue a Stingray falls into this category, and it should be associatively
Stingray is not a jammer.
Oh, yes, it does so much more.
It has absolutely nothing to do with it, actually.
Yeah, but the goal is you can't interfere. It's an FCC thing, so that you can't.
I just wanted to rail on the government for spying.
No, but think about it. Why is it's so that you won't prevent legitimate use of those frequencies, right?
A Stingray is completely different, though, Michael. It has absolutely nothing to do with it.
That's not jamming. It's not jamming, but it
replaces a cell tower. Yeah, that's not anything at all like it.
It's interfering with the intent of those laws is to prevent interference of the communication.
That's not even interfering with the communications. It's facilitating the communications even. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely no connection whatsoever.
Yeah, you should look at the sales of those things to different countries around the world and see
again
how they're being used.
This is a topic that has no relevance on what we were talking about. So, yeah, that is highly illegal. CyberCrypt. Broadband jammers that jams everything from 5 megahertz to 5 gigahertz.
There's always the Faraday cage solution, though, too, isn't there?
Yeah, and it is not. You can do it for security audits. Perfect. Yeah. Penetration testing has that nice loophole there.
But that's a good question, though. Where does what line do you have to stay behind when you're a penetration tester to avoid laws that affect those things?
Yeah, and because that would be that was actually going to be my next question, is if you're doing that, I believe you're jamming the GPS frequency, and yeah, I guess if it doesn't go beyond a certain range, you're okay. So as long as you're only jamming, like I was telling Nick was looking for it so he could jam cell phone usage in his house, and
you have to do something in the walls or paint or something like that to make that feasible, I would think. Without
no, you can get a jammer, and
yeah, but you can't control its fidelity to the point, can you, that it would solely just affect your house and not anything else?
I mean, with enough experience in
maybe
technology and knowledge, you can apply power so that it doesn't.
I know that, but where I don't see how the law would account for those types of isolation things, and I don't know. Consult a lawyer, I guess, is where I'm going at for things.
I was saying I wouldn't recommend it either way, just because I know like a lot of movie theaters have actually gotten in trouble for jamming
cell phones. Yeah, that's the stories that I've heard. The ones that are
that's a public space.
That's a public space, and there's also profit issues and copyright issues associated with why they want to do that jamming. It's I don't know. I think. Well, yeah, I guess the same would apply, though. The law would apply equally to them. So I don't know. They just have more at stake, I guess.
It does look like the Twitch stream is buffering a lot. The YouTube stream seems to be doing a lot better.
That's so weird because the Twitch is usually a lower bandwidth stream, and if you would expect to find buffering, you would expect it probably to be on the YouTube side of it.
Back to the SysKey thing, I remember the last time I encountered a SysKey password as a result of one of the tech support scammers. The password was extremely simple. I was able to guess it. It was like 1234 or 123456 or ABC123, something like that.
Yep.
It was extremely simple.
It's commonly used by scammers, and so they just out of almost necessity, they make it very simple. Yeah. Good point.
Brightech does have a video of removing the SysKey using a utility called Passcape.
Nice.
And here's a link to their utility too. But keep in mind, if you do reset the SysKey, afterwards you're not going to be able to decrypt your EFS protected files.
Oh, that's a very important implication. If you have
is that on like BitLocker style, or is that on your user going in and right-clicking encrypting?
I think your user going in.
And it's actually right-clicking and then properties and then encrypt or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it. But I mean, there's obviously legitimate use of encryption, and if I think it might imply volume encryption as well. Is it just the user? It's not volume at all? Just double check on that.
Sure.
Yeah, I would be careful. Be careful. Because the user, being an administrator, could apply to the entire system.
But I mean, that's the same if you change a Windows password, even for those type of files, for the user level.
Right.
At least.
The user password is different from the key, though.
No, when you encrypt files with your user and you change the password, that makes it so you cannot unencrypt those files again. If you're using BitLocker, though, that's a different one, and that applies to the whole file system and per system, not per user. But there is an EFF that's per user, and that's the one where it's like if you go into properties and encrypt, it encrypts it using your Windows password, and then if that gets changed outside of Windows, Windows doesn't know to update that, and all those files are therefore lost. But yeah, definitely checking and seeing if your user uses encryption prior to it is always a good course of action for any computer repair.
Wow, good reading. This is not a topic that comes or never came up for me, so that's important. That's good.
I hadn't seen it in years, and just a few months ago, I had another case of it.
Wow, is that Passcape? Is that the yeah? That's what I'm looking at right now. That seems fairly straightforward. Looks like a good tool. It does support. It'll probably it supports 8, so it should work just fine on Windows 10. Don't believe they made any changes there between 8.
Thanks for looking more into that.
Yeah, I knew there was more to it. I just had to refresh my memory.
Yeah, I thought you were joking when you said that.
No, I wasn't.
I was gonna say, power and off and on can fix that.
So that resets.
You want to give it about 10 seconds. Cold boot issue.
So it makes all the passwords blank. The result of that utility, is that correct?
That's what it said in the documentation. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you.
No problem.
Cool. So apparently Intel is coming out with a new processor, the Kaby Lake processors.
Oh yeah, I mean this is the usual, you know, how they progress with their TikTok type thing.
Apparently in the beginning of that article they referred to your apparent TikTok stuff, and Intel said that the Skylakes one are supposed to be around for a long time.
Nice.
So Intel was trying to not be that.
Oh, so we're not going to know when their new chips are coming out? I'm not sure the implications of that. I kind of like knowing when to expect their.
Yeah, it doesn't. It says that they don't have a schedule for it, but the biggest thing that they're focusing on with this chip apparently is going to be 4K video, and here's another link for.
So they just basically upgraded the integrated graphics, is what you're saying? They basically take the current architecture and improve the.
I don't know what it's saying. I'm just saying what they're saying it's saying.
Okay. Let me see if I can condense this down. Let's see. Okay, so it has 4K video decode support in. As most of you probably know, there is an integrated video decode acceleration built into the Intel processors. It used to be completely hard-coded, and I don't know if they've actually changed that to be a little bit more programmable. Like, for instance, on NVIDIA's and AMD's, they typically run a quote-unquote shader or something similar, a piece of code that does that. But in the case of Intel, I think they actually provide a static piece of acceleration. And the advantage is, as most of you know, a fixed function thing typically on an order of magnitude outperforms something that's general purpose in design. Anyway, regardless of how they do it, though, that feature has been very popular and is generally supported across the board by most graphics applications and image editing applications and whatnot. What is it called? I want to say it's called QuickSync. If anybody can confirm that, what is it? Give me 1 second. I want to. Yeah.
Well, take your
time. Intel QuickSync Video is the name given to Intel's hardware video encoding and decoding technology integrated into some of its CPUs. The name QuickSync refers to the use case of quickly transcoding, syncing a video from, for example, a DVD, Blu-ray, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so, yeah, it is called QuickSync, the technology that they use to make that happen. So this appears from the surface, although the article so far not explicitly saying this, but it would appear that this improvement is largely confined to that. Sort of makes sense. I'd expect Intel to realize that graphics and 3D or not 3D, graphics and virtual reality and these new things do require some improvements into their graphics technologies, but I would say that this is a very small uptick if that's the case. Let's see, I have a chart. They show a chart here which lists its features, and these look like it's going to be dual core with hyper-threading chips, meaning 4 threads, or dual core 4 threads. So, you know, these are lower end parts, and typically that's where you want these improved video functionality. Nobody's going to typically pair a very high-end CPU with shitty graphics, with poor graphics, although sometimes that depends on your use case. But yeah, QuickSync video is supported across the board on all these, and these are going to go into mobile devices, it looks like, based upon their designation as their part designations.
Okay, well, I knew throwing up hardware would send Michael on a long rant, but moving on from that, did y'all know that you can copyright your meme content? So apparently Grumpy Cat, which I'm sure most everyone has come across that meme of the grumpy looking cat. The owners have actually made millions from it, and they're
That disturbed
currently
me. Millions that they've
filing
made.
a lawsuit on against a coffee maker that was exploiting their
But
coffee.
the coffee maker obtained licensing for it, so I don't really
But
understand
only for the iced coffee, not for other products.
Oh,
I wasn't really interested in that side of the story. I was more interested in the fact that you can copyright things that went internet meme viral. Your cat facial.
well, I mean, you
Like,
you
if
can
you want
copyright
to
anything.
call out how bad our copyright system is in the U.S., then just show up the example that I can copyright my cat's facial expression. Not to mention that I can make millions off of it. That's actually a whole different side of how bad America is on that side of things.
You do bring up some very intriguing points, and I think you're right. But you know what? This almost sounds like a stretch, like I would do, Brantley. But kudos to you for that, because I do believe it's a point of abuse. So, and I don't like the cat stories. I don't like cats generally. I'm a dog person mostly.
Even though you're allergic to dogs.
Yeah, but
gave out Michael's sensitive
that's how
info,
deep
and he just said yeah to it.
That's how deep my love of the animals are, and a lot of people have addiction or allergies to dogs.
So, Michael, did you hear the latest alien news?
Yeah. Now, so is it a Type 1 or Type 2 civilization? So I know all about this. So apparently, SETI's found a source, a significantly high radio signal coming from a distant galaxy. What is it? 90 something light years away? 96 light years away? 98 light years away? Something like that?
The one thing that made it interesting to me was that they said it was like 6.4 billion years old.
Because they can measure the age of the star.
Well, the signal itself would be, I thought, was 6.4 billion years old. So like they're receiving. I mean, if they're just receiving the signal now, it's taking that long to traverse from.
Well, that means it's not okay. It's 60, unless my figure is wrong, and I'm saying because I'm just recalling it from reading it earlier. But I thought it was within 100 light years from us. That means.
It does say 94 light years in this one.
Okay, so that should mean that a radio signal sent from them should only take that many years to get to us. I don't know what you're talking about, a billion-year signal.
I'm looking. Hold on, let's see if I can find it.
But it is interesting. Now, so what they say is that if they're pointing this directly at us, there'll be a civilization roughly in comparison to where we are today, or maybe a little bit more advanced. Actually, probably more advanced, a little bit advanced of what we are today. If they're able to beam a signal of that power to us, they have the ability to access a fair bit of energy to be able to accomplish that. That's would be considered a Type 1 civilization. A Type 2 civilization, from what I understand, 95 light years. A Type 2 civilization, from what I understand, is basically one that's able to harness virtually all the power of the solar system star that they're occupying. And so that would usually imply the use of a Dyson sphere or similar technology, or equivalent of putting solar panels all around the sun, and having an efficient means of transferring that energy back to Earth or somewhere else where you'd be colonizing. Type 2 civilizations have left their home planet. Typically, the necessity or harnessing that amount of energy would allow them to effectively populate their entire solar system, at least, possibly even travel otherwise outside of that. Then you have a Type 3 civilization. They're able to harness the equivalent energy of a galaxy. That means basically doing a Type 2 civilization across multiple solar systems throughout the entire galaxy. The predominant number of solar systems in the galaxy. Like digging a new well. This would be a massively interstellar species, and they're at least you're talking about millennia down the road, if not more, of evolution for us to attain. No, that's a Type 2 is a millennia down the road. This is like a million years down the road or 100,000 years down the road at least, I believe, of evolution for us to attain. Now, but the interesting thing is that's a very, compared to everything else that they've been interested in, this is way more powerful.
Real quick, that
they've said so far that they want to monitor it every day.
Michael, real quick, hold on. Jeez, the 6.4 billion years was the age of the sun, and that's in that TechCrunch article there. But when you were talking about the Type 3 one, that reminded me of another one that they found, a galaxy that they believe is 99.99% dark matter. So that could actually be a Type 3.
There are other theories of civilizations, for instance, like Brantley's talking about other ways to obtain energy, potentially by harvesting or doing something with dark energy
no, I was saying that if they were able to harvest the energy of the entire galaxy, maybe that's what happens, is it turns the galaxy into a dark matter galaxy.
I don't think that flows with how things
Nick,
work.
CyberCrypt says he had a Type 5 civilization question for you, but it faded from his memory. Sorry.
There have been talk of Type 4 civilizations and Type 5 civilizations, but the problem, particularly with the Type 5 civilization, is that they say that they would be so advanced that effectively there would be no way to distinguish it from nature. Not nature, but just, again, like natural processes in the universe, like the movement of planets, and they would have complete control over that to the point where literally you wouldn't see them anymore. You would just see the
godlike.
Yeah, they'd be effectively. That's actually a perfect analogy.
I would believe those would be multi-dimensional.
But back to this article, the phenomenon, the radio signals that they were picking up could be a natural anomaly, such as background noise. So,
there's always the chance, but that's why they need a prolonged observation of it, and that's what they actually recommended, that they're going to be observing it on a regular basis now, and that's the first time I think this has happened with the SETI project, if I'm not mistaken. But
well, they said they had quite a few of those type signals, but this was one of the strongest candidates.
Okay, but I thought that was a big leap in the power to this one compared to all the others, but maybe
I'm just going off slight information. So
yeah, me too, largely. Obviously, we just read news like you guys read news out there. We just try to consolidate it for you and take the best bits.
Yes, a lot.
So I didn't explain what a Type 4 civilization was. A Type 4
It's okay, you don't need to.
Is not just a galaxy.
Please, let's
Michael,
move on to the next important topic. How about the daily instruction of your Klingon language or whatever?
Yeah, what's the newest Klingon word for today, Michael?
I don't know Klingon, actually.
You might as well.
It'd be good to.
Definitely.
I was thinking about another language, but I was thinking about a practical language learning. But I guess
it could be very practical in your circles.
Well, maybe.
And I kind of agree with CyberCrypt on this, where even if you take our civilization, if you take a 3G phone or Wi-Fi, or heck, even a radio, if you take it back more than 100 years, what chances do they have of understanding how that works and be able to decipher what it's actually doing and using?
I don't think considering the distance, it's not something that we're going to be able to obviously have reasonable back and forth communication with, given that even if we started broadcasting today, it would take 100, roughly over 95 years or whatever to reach.
I think they're not talking about us actually being able to communicate back with them. It's the fact that
we wouldn't know, but
you wouldn't know what it is, and it could.
You missed the point. It's just knowing. It's just knowing that there is another. There's other life out there, intelligent life.
But that's the point, that we wouldn't know, is what we're saying.
Basically, there are certain things that we might see that would absolutely mean that they were, that they've have technology.
Yeah, like Independence Day, where they come and land on our planet. That would be pretty much the only concrete thing.
Their energy. Well, I guess
Or
you're
if we
right.
happen to like
Yeah, you're
like
right.
catch a photo with them with Hubble by
That's
accident.
true. You're
Like
right. We
marked in
can
the wrong place.
theorize and we can extrapolate and we can guess about existence, but you're right. Until more direct observations are made, there's no way to move from theory to fact or proof.
So moving on from that, here's some cool technology that our simple Type 1 has done. They took 2 helicopters, one carrying a banner and the other broadcasting a movie onto it. So that's the limit of our technology. Is that we actually have to have 2 helicopters to do that. So I thought this was a pretty cool video, and just the GIF even was pretty cool. Oh, cool, CyberCrypt. Yeah, the FAA just did implement their stuff for the commercial drone. They're expecting to have, I think it was 60,000 commercial drones in the air by the end. If you don't mind, what kind of stuff do you do? Obviously doing the security audits, penetration testing, and I guess where I'm going with that is more what were you looking to do with your commercial drone license? I'd be fairly interested in that, actually. Anyway, I was saying this GIF was pretty cool, and maybe this will bring back Transformers for Nick. I don't know if this has the same, you can't tell what's going on. I was more interested in it with the fact that this kid had to sit here for all of this stop motion animation. And like you can see at some points he looks extremely bored and unentertained. I can imagine that it would be extremely bored. That's terrible.
Whoa.
Just
What's going on here? Yes, it is every kid's imagination coming true. Oh my word.
But not for that kid is what I'm saying. Have y'all ever tried a stop motion video? That is the most boring thing
Yeah, it's
in the world.
Usually
why-
when you depict someone going insane, you have them pick up the hobby of stop motion animation, basically.
Like if you just watch the GIF on that page, you don't watch the full video, and I'm sure if I watch the full video, you kind of see it progress as it goes along. But at the beginning of that GIF, he is like super excited about this process, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna make him live." And then like towards the end of it, he's like, "Oh God, how long is this going to take? Are we done yet? Please stop fighting." That's where animation or imagination beats out, I think.
This is very true. Yeah. Oh well, thanks. That was.
Oh, CyberCrypt is Glenn. Oh. Oh, and so they have.
Oh, that's right. He changed his name. Oh, we should have seen that.
I actually have that stuff turned off so it doesn't interfere with me. I guess I should turn it back on. I turned it off for the stream, but none of y'all do. So, yeah, it's
I'll put that to a new tab or something. So,
huh?
like your notifications like that, can't you output that to a different tab?
I don't know.
Bother the stream, but
Not sure. Is that possible?
I think so.
That would be nice if it is. Anyway, so Glenn, do they have similar regulations to the U.S. for as far as drone piloting and stuff goes? I guess, do y'all have a residential drone piloting thing? Where we have to register our drones as a residential setup? Go ahead, Michael.
Oh, sorry. So I just because I happen to have a phone that's compatible, I just wanted to throw this out. But it looks like Verizon turned on their LTE Advanced in a large number of cities across our country here.
491, and that does not include my town.
490. Dyslexia. 461, I believe it is. But yeah, it's not everyone's town, of course, so it's going to be hard to test, and I don't believe I'm on the list either. So, yeah, but if you
I
are,
couldn't find a list of the cities though. I could only find a list of the phones they supposedly support with it.
well, let me. Yeah, I gotta look for that.
Like on their map, it just has a picture of their coverage area, which to me would imply that everywhere gets this.
Everywhere gets
but
it. Yeah,
I was not
that's the
seeing it on
implication.
mine.
Yeah, because they probably, yeah, so this is their marketing. So the gimmicky part about this is that since it's still technically LTE, they can still use all their same coverage graphs that they've previously created for LTE coverage. And technically, because it is LTE just advanced, they can, do this. Wow, so that's crazy. Apparently, we won't know. You won't know until you measure the speed and have it with these things. But the good news is that it looks like the past 2 generations of phones roughly are largely support it, and maybe a few select others.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see my original Droid Turbo on that list.
Yeah, some of these phones are yeah, a little bit older than I expected. The Note 5 it was one I kind of didn't anticipate being on there. But then again, I don't have some of those other brands, so who knows? Looks like Apple's well supported on that list, though. It looks like any 6 or reasonably modern iPad is.
Here's your list of cities, and then click on Find Your City.
There we go. Thanks.
On top of the link finding today. Glenn, here's an article about
instead of working in the background.
Here's
that's a big list. Wow.
Here's a link to some of the guidelines. Well, an article that has links to some of the guidelines the FAA are putting in for it. I think is that for for commercial drones. So yeah, if you want to compare and look and see.
When you click Find Your City, by the way, in that list, instead of actually being able to maybe type in and what your city is, you're just
a big list.
List of every city in alphabetical. What is it, in alphabetical order?
Brantley, your city is on the list.
Is it?
And a city near Michael is on the list, and cities near me are on the list.
Oh,
yeah, there's
city is on the list. It's just hyphenated with another city.
It's probably not all. It's probably like part of. That's not my address. Number one, and number two, I think that's on like that side of it. Probably not. Why would they do it like that? Why the hell would they hyphenate it like that?
Well, I can certainly say that it does not appear that I've had an increase in speed lately.
Yeah, I haven't noticed any.
I haven't noticed any either.
Yeah, no, I did a bandwidth test on mine just yesterday, and I was actually like, this is slower than what I previously remember getting on my bandwidth test. But you're right, our city is on there.
You travel to a lot of big cities, though, so it's.
Yeah, I did do the bandwidth test in a different city, I believe, but still, I was not impressed with my Verizon speed. It could also be because in my house I only get 1 bar signal, so I was getting like.
We're gonna drive Glenn insane.
10 down, 1 up.
This does not affect me. I'm in Australia. I do not care about the U.S. rollout of LTE Advanced.
It could be making its way to Australia.
Well, these are all the importance of this is these are all the interim technologies bridging 4G with 5G. So that's what brings it all together, I suppose. That kind of stuff.
Proctor, and thanks for your link finding abilities today. I have a link just for you. First off, did you know that there's professional night fighting,
Yes.
like in a ring and everything?
Yeah. Oh, but not
Well,
like
A
that.
LARP doesn't surprise me.
you can watch this knight get his butt kicked. But yeah, that's what I was surprised about. It's like an arena with lots of fans.
I was expecting something in a field or
Yeah, no, this is like professional
With
night fighting.
turnbuckles and.
We kind of got away from Glenn's response, didn't we? Okay. He's probably caught up with us. What we're new
No,
to.
I said I.
Oh yeah, you got back to
I
him.
said
Yeah,
if he
you got
wants
back.
to check that link, he can look and see. There's some other links to the actual requirements for
Oh, good.
what
Okay.
the FAA is requiring. So.
Okay. Awesome.
I thought this was interesting. So someone took the Knight Rider KITT car and drove it around and said it's an absolute terrible driving experience. And just looking at that steering wheel, I can imagine that that's a horrible driving experience.
Yeah, I mean, it shows its age at this point in time. I mean, it's
Any age, that would be a terrible driving experience.
well, but I mean, in the if you ever watch the show, which I did on a regular basis as a kid, I never thought about it, but then again, I wasn't of driving age. I never really considered it. But yeah, I mean, he didn't have a wheel the whole freaking time of the show, and
the wheel's not even like
have a wheel
designed. I would have made that straight bar. I would have made that 10 and 2, and then had the other 2 bars, splitting that up. But
I think there's any number of reasons why you would claim this design to be poor and why it would never actually be in a car that would commercially available. But it is fiction, so we can't exactly.
I do like all the Adreno projects and stuff that you can turn your car into a Knight Rider.
Now that is something I think our users would be interested in.
I don't have the links right off.
Let me see if we can find that. Proctor, you're the one. Thanks.
While we wait on that, it looks like Google Contacts app has updated. And the interesting thing in the title of this article, I haven't gotten to try the updated version yet, is duplicate contact management. I'm interested to see how they do on that. Their web version does slightly okay, but I mean, you have to go to the web version of your Google Contacts. I would actually be more interested to see how it would handle multiple accounts, because on your phone, almost innately, you have multiple Google accounts signed in, and I would wonder if because they show you contacts from all of them, do they contact duplicate management that way as well, or I don't know. Yep, that was the biggest one I'd seen, was the lights going back and forth.
And they talk about this on Instructables as well.
I had seen one where you could add the sound effects and all to it, but I think that one was using a Pi.
I mean, some of the things are going to be rather trivial, I'd imagine, that you don't even need a particular specific guide to do.
Michael, you still haven't seen that movie Contact that I told you to watch, have you?
I do not believe so. Damn, I gotta get mine. I minimized my post-it notes, so anyway, go ahead.
Post-it notes, and in fact, the post-it notes on the computer even. Yeah, you can duplicately manage those. Usually, multiple personalities will go by different names, I believe, but
That's
relating to the Contact movie. HBO has a new sci-fi Western show coming out called Westworld, and it looks pretty awesome.
it does, yeah. My friends tell me about that.
Did you see the movie?
I don't know. No, I didn't know there was a movie Westworld.
Something. It's like a 70s.
Huh. It probably is then. What was notable about this though is that they have a fairly high-profile acting cast. Like I had not seen Anthony Hopkins do a TV show before, so I was fairly impressed with that. But it does look like kind of the premise of what that Contact movie was. So if you watch that, you got to get through like the first half of it, which is kind of weird and boring. But then afterwards, it looks similar to what this is talking about. So I'm really excited about that one. HBO's been doing pretty good shows lately. So, but thank you, Nick. I'm gonna look for that movie after.
Looks like it might be. The movie was like dudes in futuristic place go to vacation in wherever they want, kind of like a world and they had like 3 of them. One of them was Westworld, and that's where the robots they just went homicidal and started killing all the guests. Real. Like they used, they had like fake guns and everything, but then the robots were like, nah. Yeah,
that actually pretty much sums up that trailer. What you just said there is pretty much the summary of that trailer. So
it was a good movie.
It looks like it's going to be an awesome show too. Obviously, the updated graphics and things like that coming from the 70s will probably be far more improved. And again, like I said, the cast looks incredible from what was in the trailer. So I think it'll be super awesome.
Awesome.
It has potential. It has potential.
Yeah, in the movie they had like 3 worlds of selection. They had like Victorian world or something, and something else.
Oh, so we'll probably see spin-off series in the future.
Could be. Well, and in the end, like the robots from Westworld end up chasing people through all of the other worlds too, or something. They killed ancient Rome. Yeah, ancient Rome was one.
Okay.
That would be an awesome vacation spot, though.
Yeah,
just being able to pick those different things.
There was a great book that I read. I'm a big hard sci-fi reader in the sense that the ones that go into some of the gory detail of their civilizations and the advancements. Very much like I guess how Dune did with some of its mythos, I guess as well. But where was I going with this? Oh, The Light of Other Days was the book. The book's name. I forget who. It's a big author. Light of Other Days. I'll look that up. But it's basically you could travel. You couldn't travel anywhere. You basically got like a VR experience for different time periods, and so you couldn't interact per se, but you could literally like walk through a period of time. And the concept was a little bit weird. They sort of had a camera peephole into it, and it's weird how they explained it, but it was a very good book that I thought was enlightening on that topic. Stephen Baxter, and I guess that's the wiki page on it.
Interesting.
Sorry.
So we are about at our hour. I got one more link here that I wanted to point out because it has some interesting follow-up to the SDR stuff we were doing yesterday. The airplane one specifically was doing the RTL-SDR stuff. So they have a way that was actually from the 60s when they were looking for spy radio signals of determining a radio signal's superhet. And it's an unintentional emission from a radio signal, so you can find that pattern and then match it up with the actual frequency that the device is broadcasting on. It goes into some details there, but also the related post gives you some pretty interesting follow-up links, like the stealing encryption keys from PCs using